Hey horror fans, Bored now, back with you, and on this video I'm just going to be doing a quick few minutes on the pilot episode of the new Chucky TV show. So this is going to be a non-spoiler review with summing up my overall thoughts. So the first episode is called Death by Misadventure, and I just got through watching this actually on a live stream, which will be up on the channel, so you can check out my reactions to it on there. A few other people joined, and this will be, as I said, a quick non-spoiler review, and that's because at the weekend me and Rachel are going to be talking about the episode in more depth. We will be going into spoilers and giving our overall feelings, so you've got that to come at the weekend or just after the weekend, but just to get a quick video out there with my overall feelings and impressions. So as I said, I've literally fresh from watching this. This is a much anticipated show for me. I was very excited because they were bringing back the original crew, the original cast and the main characters and things like that. So I have to say the first episode left me really flat. I really didn't like it at all. I'll get into a few of the reasons why without really giving away any plot points, but just to give it its setup. The first episode sort of involves this character of Jake who buys the Chucky doll at like this yard sale. This sort of weird old woman gives it to him or sells it to him, which should have been like alarm bells ringing for Jake right there. So he obviously takes it home, and from that point of view, part of the episode is getting to know Jake and his life. So he lives with his dad, who's a single parent, and the mother died in the past. I guess but it's not a major spoiler. But anyway, the dad is kind of a bit of a douche and sort of mistreats Jake. And we also get to know his life at school, and there's like this one character called Lexi, who's like the sort of kind of the mean girl, the sort of queen bee, if you like, the sort of bitchy bully who bullies Jake and stuff. So it's partly that stuff, getting to know Jake and his life, but also the sort of typical Chucky stuff with him sort of like causing uproar, causing chaos, like reveling in it. And I think because this is like a TV pilot, and for some people at least, it's the first time. I guess if you're a casual fan and you've not seen any of the movies, the first time you come across Chucky, so they do sort of like introduce him and what he does quite slowly. I did get that sense, and they were treating it as a sort of like a slow introduction where they wanted that sort of thing in there to explain some of his backstory, some of like the mythology, just in case, you know, because putting it on TV now, on network TV, they probably, you know, wary of casual fans. But it's really rough. I think it has a lot of the feel of like a typically like bland, generic, by the numbers network show, which I was sort of concerned about. I think a lot of the characters, a lot of the casting, the dad, for example, is just like the sort of by the numbers sort of douchey TV dad. The way he talks, the way he acts, he was very one note. Same with Jake. Jake was very sort of bland, had no real sort of personality. This quite whiny, annoying, floppy head teenager with no sort of personality. And I think pretty much all the teenagers are like this in the episode. I didn't think any of them really stood out. I think there's a lot of stereotypical like character traits going on in this episode. Now, another thing is like the choice of music. There's just no like invention, nothing which is really going to create like an atmosphere or a mood. They just go for like generic kind of sort of dance music, like in one scene in particular, like in the hallways. Now the other thing about the episode is that they are really pushing hey, it's modern times, so they're pushing like the social media type thing, which becomes a big part of the episode. So I'll talk more about that when I record the review with Rachel at the weekend. But that stuff did seem very sort of forced and contrived and didn't really work that well for me. It also works in like the whole true crime podcast sort of angle, so it gets into that, and that stuff I thought was a little bit better. But the other problem is that so far the Chucky stuff I think also feels a bit sort of watered down, and it doesn't quite feel like vintage Chucky. There's a couple of nice teases. There's actually like one particular kill I did quite enjoy, but generally speaking, so far we've not got the full-on Chucky, the classic Chucky, which the fans all know and love. And so far, I'm really not into what they're doing with this show, with this episode. It does feel like sort of just this very typically like bland TV teen drama, which just happens to have Chucky there in the background, sort of like causing mayhem. But obviously it's the first episode. That might change. They might work more into things later on, but on the basis of this episode, I didn't really care about the main characters, the teenagers, and the other sort of adult characters. But I mean, it could obviously change as they work in the other like main characters, the characters that we know from the film, because they've brought them all back, so they're going to play some part. And it's possible then they could do an anthology type thing where they might sort of change things up and do different stories. So certainly based on this first episode, I'm hoping Jake isn't going to stick around for that long, because he's a really adult character. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So a weak first episode, sadly. Now I have heard that it does get a little bit better as it goes along, so a few episodes in. So I guess for the time being I'm sticking with it, and I'm hoping that it gets better. But that's my non-spoiler thoughts on the first episode of the Chucky TV show. If you've seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But don't forget, I will be back with a proper review with Rachel McDonald that we're recording at the weekend. So that'll be a full-on spoiler review and proper discussion, so look out for that. But for now, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe as always, share me out on social media, and look out for more horror movie and horror TV reviews coming up this month. Take care guys, see you later.